Hello everyone. So in this video, you're going to go through exam SC-100, which is Microsoft Cybersecurity Architect mock examination questions. I have prepared these questions based on this syllabus on this particular website. This is the Microsoft Learn examination site. All the 100 questions are from these four different areas which is highlighted in this examination module. Additionally, you can download the content which I'm using, both the PowerPoint and the Word document, for additional reference and for learning. I hope you enjoy the video. Take care. Question number one. Imagine you have just subscribed to Microsoft 365. As part of your security strategy, you aim to implement the zero trust model to safeguard your company's information. That is quite important information here. You need a solution that prevents confidential data from being inadvertently shared outside your organization. Which option would you recommend to achieve this goal? So we have four options: data loss prevention, e-discovery, hold, insider risk management policy, and retention policies. The correct answer is data loss prevention policies. So let me help you understand what data loss prevention policy is. You can achieve this goal by implementing Microsoft Purview to help discover, classify, and protect sensitive information wherever it lives or travels. One of the capability of Microsoft Purview include DLP policies, which is used to protect information that prevents unauthorized access, misuse, or loss of sensitive or critical data. So what is a data loss prevention policy? DLP policies are a set of rules and protocols designed to protect and prevent the unauthorized sharing, transmission, or loss of sensitive information. Some of the benefits of DLPs are protection of sensitive information, regulatory compliance, prevention of data breaches, and visibility and monitoring. So where else can you implement this data loss prevention? You can implement this on a email security level, or you can implement this on a file sharing control level, or you can implement this on a endpoint protection level as well. If you want to know further, please do keep an eye on these reference links that take you to a page where you can read more about it. Additionally, see if you can download this information handy pack that includes all the questions and answers in a detailed format. You can see that there is quite a lot of explanation to each answer, some real world example on where it is being used. On the left hand side, you can see the navigation as well. So you can quickly skip through these questions based on what you're learning. So we have like 100 questions in this list. Question number two. Imagine you have a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription and are utilizing Microsoft Defender XDR. You need to create a report that demonstrates your organization's potential Microsoft secure score based on current licenses. The report should also evaluate the impact if all recommended improvement actions were approved or rejected. What should you include in this report? The correct answer is achievable score. An achievable score indicates the secure score that can realistically be reached based on your current Microsoft licenses. It is beneficial because it helps organizations understand their potential security posture without requiring major changes in licensing or risk tolerance. This score is useful for setting attainable security goals and prioritizing actions that can enhance security within your current constraints. Question number three. You are in charge of monitoring and evaluating the Microsoft Secure Score metric for your organization, which has a Microsoft 365 subscription and utilizes Microsoft Defender XDR. As part of your responsibilities, you need to outline the factors that influence the ranking of recommended actions within the Secure Score framework. What criteria should you consider that would elevate the ranking of a recommended action? We have these four options. I don't want to read out these. I'm going to help you understand what is the correct answer, and I will give you an explanation on why that is. The correct answer is higher ranked actions have large number of points remaining and low difficulty, user impact, and complexity. The higher score indicates that an organization's Microsoft 365 environment has a better overall security posture and it's better adhering to security best practices. And these rankings is based on number of points left to achieve, implementation difficulty, user impact, and complexity. So if you're not quite sure about what is this Microsoft Secure Score, it is a measurement tool provided by Microsoft that helps organizations evaluate their security posture within the Microsoft 365 environment. So some of the benefits of Microsoft Security Score include it gives you great visibility, it gives you some actionable insights. You can use that for benchmarking and you can use that for continuous improvement. Question number 4. Imagine you are a security architect at a company that develops web applications. You are tasked with conducting a threat modeling exercise for an application that processes sensitive customer information. Your goal is to identify potential threats, vulnerabilities, and possible mitigations based on principles of Microsoft Security Development Lifecycle. Which methodology would you choose to accomplish this task? So there are 4 methodologies here. Out of that, which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is STRIDE. So what is STRIDE? STRIDE is a methodology used for threat modeling, which helps identify and classify various types of threats based on their nature and potential impact. So STRIDE is an acronym. So what does it mean? S means for spoofing, T means for tampering, R means for repudiation, I means for information disclosure, D means for denial of service, and E means for elevation of privilege. Spoofing is pretending to be someone or something else. Tampering is modifying data or system without authorization. Repudiation means denying action or transactions. I, which is information disclosure, which is exposing sensitive information to unauthorized entities. D is denial of servicing or disrupting service availability. And E is elevation of privilege or gaining unauthorized access to higher levels of permission. So some of the benefits of STRIDES include comprehensive threat identification, structured approach, and guidance for mitigation. Question number 5. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that include multiple web applications. Your company aims to offer secure and global access to these web applications for a worldwide customer base. You need to propose a security solution that meets the following criteria. Provides a global approach to inspect incoming requests at the network edge. And the second criteria is prevents malware attacks near their source before they penetrate the virtual network. Which security solution would you recommend? So we have 4 security solutions: Lighthouse, Tunnel Gateway, WAF on Azure App Gateway, and WAF on Azure Front Door. The correct answer is Web Application Firewall on Azure Front Door. So what is WAF on Azure Front Door? Web Application Firewall on Azure Front Door is a security service provided by Microsoft Azure designed to protect web applications from common exploits and vulnerabilities. It acts as a shield for web services, inspecting every incoming request to ensure that only safe, legitimate traffic reaches this application. It is deployed globally at Azure Network Edge location, ensuring centralized and comprehensive protection. Some of the benefits of WAF on Azure Front Door include centralized protection, global deployment, defense against vulnerabilities, and compliance. One of the use case you could use this is protecting your online platforms. Like e-commerce website can use WAF on Azure Front Door to safeguard against attack that could compromise customer data or disrupt transactions. Question number 6. Imagine you are responsible for security for a Microsoft 365 subscription coupled with an Azure subscription that encompasses over 100 applications. Your goal is to design security solution for application management that has certain criteria. 1. Detect unusual behavior, inventory current application deployment, identify unauthorized application within the environment, then ensure compliance with relevant regulations. Which tool should you include in your solution? And we have 4 different tools here. and each offer different capability. Even though you know the answer to one of it, I would highly encourage you to read about all of these tools, what you see, even if it is a wrong answer. You need to understand why that is a wrong answer. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. So first and foremost, what is Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps? Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is a security tool designed to help organizations protect their cloud-based applications. It identifies and monitors cloud apps, assesses their risk level, and ensures they comply with the organization's security policies. It provides insight into app usage patterns and can automatically detect and remediate risky behaviors and threats, such as ransomware or compromised user accounts. Some of the benefits of Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps include enhanced security, risk assessment, automatic remediation, and improved decision making. Let's look at question number 7. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes web application named Web App 1. You are tasked with investigating a practice to improve security by identifying and addressing vulnerabilities throughout the development process. Which tool should you recommend for supporting dynamic application security testing, or DAST? Is it Azure Policy, Mend, Zap, or Sonar Cloud? The correct answer is OWASP Z Attack Proxy or ZAP. This Z Attack Policy or ZAP is a popular free security tool designed to help identify security vulnerabilities in web applications. And it is an open source security tool which can help developers and testers identify security issues that could be exploited by attackers. Some of the benefits of this ZAP is easy to use, comprehensive scanning, active community, and it is highly customizable. Question number 8. Your team is working on a web application called Web App 1 and you need to ensure the security and reliability. You're tasked with recommending a process that involves submitting random malformed data to the application to identify potential vulnerabilities. What process will you suggest? We have 4 processes here. Which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer for this question is fuzz testing. So what is a fuzz testing? Fuzz testing is a method used to identify vulnerabilities and bugs in software by inputting malformed or random data into the program. This technique deliberately introduces unexpected input to see how the application behaves, aiming to induce failures that reveal security issues and weaknesses. So one of the use case of this fuzz testing include you can incorporate that in your application development. So during the development phase, fuzz testing can be used to validate the robustness of your application before its release. Some of the benefits of this fuzz testing include uncover any sort of hidden bugs. It can help you improve security and it can help you automate the testing process as well. So one of the example of this is browsers like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox use this fuzz testing to identify and fix vulnerabilities. By continuously inputting random data, these browsers ensure that unexpected user inputs do not lead to security breaches. Question number 9. Your company is developing a web application named Web App 1. As part of the development process, it is essential to ensure the application security by analyzing its source code when the application is not actively running. Which type of testing should you recommend to achieve this? So go through these 4 options. If you want, you can pause this. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is SAST or Static Application Security Testing. So what is Static Application Security Testing? This process involves analyzing source code or compiled versions of code to detect security vulnerabilities without executing the code. This method examines the code systematically while it is at rest to identify potential flaws that could be exploited. Some of the benefits of SAST include early detection, comprehensive analysis, compliance, etc. If you want to know on a real world example, a financial institution routinely uses SAST tools to analyze their banking software, ensuring that sensitive data transactions are secure and free from vulnerabilities. Question number 10. Imagine you have an Azure subscription containing a web app named Web App 1, which utilizes a backend Azure SQL database named SQL DB1. You need to recommend a security solution that prevents Microsoft SQL Server administrators and privileged accounts from accessing or reading sensitive information stored in specific database columns within your database. What solution would you recommend? Pause for a moment, look at these examples, and what is the correct answer? The correct answer is always encrypted. So what is this always encrypted means? Always encrypted is a feature of Microsoft SQL Server and Azure SQL database that helps protect sensitive data by encrypting database columns. The encryption and decryption of the data occur on a client side, meaning that the SQL server itself does not have access to the encryption keys and thus cannot read the encrypted data. This ensures that even if an attacker gains admin access to the databases, they cannot retrieve or decipher the sensitive information without the encryption key. This is commonly used in banking sector, healthcare provider, e-commerce platform to protect their workloads or databases. Question number 11. Imagine you have subscriptions to Azure and Microsoft 365 and you need to propose a solution for discovering and classifying data. The solution should automatically identify data from various storage locations and categorize this data with unique labels or classes. What solution would you recommend? Out of these four options, which one do you think the right answer is? The correct answer is Microsoft Purview. Microsoft Purview is a comprehensive data governance solution that helps organizations manage and oversee their data assets. It includes tools for data discovery, classification, and mapping, providing visibility into where data resides and how it is used. Microsoft Purview integrates with other Microsoft services and third-party platforms to offer consistent governance across diverse environments. Some of the use cases for Microsoft Purview include you could use this for regulatory compliance requirements, data discovery, data classification, and risk management. Question number 12. You are managing a multi-cloud environment that includes both an Azure subscription and an Amazon Web Services account. You are tasked with designing a Microsoft Defender for Cloud Implementation Plan and intend to use the Cloud Security Explorer to create queries that will hunt for security risk across both cloud platforms. Which Defender plan do you need to ensure you can fully utilize the benefits of Cloud Security Explorer? We have four Defender plans here. Which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is Defender Cloud Security Posture Management, or CSPM. So CSPM is a component of Microsoft Defender for Cloud that provides a comprehensive approach to monitoring and improving the security posture of cloud environments. It offers detailed hardening guidances to enhance security measures, ensuring the cloud resources are protected against their threats. Additionally, the CSPM helps identify vulnerabilities, provides recommendations, and enables compliance management across multi-cloud infrastructures. Some of the benefits of Defender for CSPM include hardening guidelines, governance and compliance, attack path analysis, Cloud Security Explorer, agent scanning, etc. One of the use case is multi-cloud security management, where organizations with multi-cloud infrastructure in this question, like AWS and Azure, can use CSPM to uniformly manage and secure resources across different platforms like Azure or AWS. Question number 13. Imagine you are managing a multi-cloud setup that includes both Azure and AWS, and you want to assess the security posture of your cloud environment using Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, which is MCSB. Which solution should you choose to incorporate data from the MCSB into your security assessment? We have four options here to look at: Arc, Stack Hub, Defender for Cloud, and Sentinel. Which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a security management tool designed to protect cloud and hybrid environment. It helps monitor the security posture of resources across multiple clouds, such as the Azure and AWS, and provides recommendations to improve security compliance. Some of the benefits include comprehensive threat detection and prevention, centralized security management across different cloud platforms, automatic compliance checks and regulatory reporting, and enhanced visibility of security risk. One of the use case could include organizations looking to meet regulatory compliance standard can benefit from its automatic checks and reporting features. Question number 14. Imagine your organization has multi-cloud setup incorporating both Azure subscription and AWS accounts. You plan to integrate Microsoft Defender for cloud to enhance your security posture. That is a key word. You want to enable various features such as attack path analysis, security governance, multi-cloud coverage, and Cloud Security Explorer, and centralized policy management. Which of the two features listed above are offered for free as part of the Foundational Cloud Security Posture Management or CSPM plan? Out of the four paths, which one do you think is the right answer? You need to pick two answers here. We already talked about this. One of the answer is centralized policy management. Another one is multi-cloud coverage. Let's look at what is centralized policy management does. Centralized policy management enables organizations to define and enforce security policies consistently across their cloud environments. This feature simplifies the management of security policies, ensuring that all resources comply with established security standards and reducing the risk of misconfiguration and vulnerabilities. The next is multi-cloud coverage. We've seen this example in the last two questions as well. Multi-cloud coverage allows organizations to manage security posture across multiple cloud environments, such as Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud. This capability provides a unified view of security risk and compliance status, enabling better control and monitoring of cloud resources regardless of the cloud provider. Question number 15. Imagine your organization has both Azure and Microsoft 365 E5 subscriptions. As part of your security strategy, you are tasked with improving your organization's security posture by implementing key recommendations to minimize attack risk. Using Microsoft Secure Score, assess the security status and plan to enable security default to boost the score. Which three actions will gain full points in Entra ID when security defaults are activated? You need to basically know what are the three things you need to do to get full score. The correct answers are: if you enable conditional access policy to block legacy authentication and ensure that MFA is enabled, and ensure that MFA is enabled for all users and administrative roles. Let us look into what are the reasons why this is a correct answer. First, if you look at the first step is to ensure that multi-factor authentication is enabled for all users, which will get you 9 points. Because MFA significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized access by requiring multiple forms of verification before granting access to the user accounts. Second, enabling MFA to all users in the administrative role in previous crucial step and is awarded 10 points. So administrators typically have elevated privileges, which makes them prime target for cyber attacks. And lastly, enabling conditional access policies to block legacy authentication, which gain you extra 7 points. So the legacy authentication protocols are often less secure and more susceptible to attacks. So by blocking these, you ensure that only modern secure authentication methods are used, thereby protecting your organization's data and resources. So together, these actions contribute significantly to overall secure score, reflecting a proactive approach to security management. Question number 16. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and need to design a document outlining the steps for deploying Azure Bastion. To ensure successful deployment, what are the prerequisites details you should include in your document? Pause this video and look at these options available, coming up with your own answer. But I'm just going to populate the correct answer now. The correct answer is create a subnet named Azure Bastion subnet and subnet address range /26 or larger. When you deploy Azure Bastion, one of the prerequisite is to create a custom subnet by using the following value. These values are: subnet must be at least /26 or larger than 26, 25, 24 to accommodate the features available in the standards queue. If you're quite new and you don't know what is Azure Bastion, Azure Bastion is a fully managed service by Microsoft that provides secure and seamless remote desktop protocol and secure shell, which is SSH, connectivity to virtual machines directly through Azure portal. It eliminates the need to expose virtual machines to public internet, thereby minimizing security risk. Let's look at question number 17. Suppose you have a Microsoft 365 license and an Azure subscription, and your fleet of devices include those running Windows, Android, iOS, iPadOS, Mac operating system, things like that. And these Windows devices are joined to Microsoft Entra. You need to design a security solution that can control the features of these devices, verify the compliance status of each device, and remotely lock, restart, locate, or reset a device to factory settings. Which solution should you implement? Let's pause for a couple of seconds and look into these options available and figure out what is the right answer. The correct answer is Microsoft Intune. Microsoft Intune is a cloud based service that focuses on mobile device management and mobile application management, which is traditionally known as MDM and MAM. It enables organization to manage both company owned and personal devices that access corporate data. With Intune, IT departments can control how devices are used, enforce security policies, and ensure that the data stays secure. Some of the benefits of using Intune include device management, application management, compliance and security management. It supports multiple platforms like Mac operating system, Android, Windows, iOS, etc. And it gives you integration with other Microsoft services as well. Question number 18. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes 25 virtual machines. You need to create a solution to secure remote access to these virtual machines. And the solution must adhere to these guidelines. These guidelines are: no public IP address should be assigned to the virtual machine. Access to the virtual machine should be provided through Azure portal. The connection to virtual machine should be using TLS. Which service should you implement? Just a couple of questions ago, we went through the detailed answer of this. The correct answer to this question is Azure Bastion. Azure Bastion, like I mentioned, it's a fully managed service that provides secure and seamless RDP and SSH connectivity to your virtual machine directly through Azure portal. So if you want to know about a use case, imagine if you are a university which implement Azure Bastion to provide secure access to VMs for student and faculty for conducting any sort of research. By using Azure Bastion, they can ensure that their research data is secure and only accessible to authorized users. Azure Bastion is a powerful and secure solution for managing remote access to your virtual machines, providing peace of mind and ensuring that your resources are protected from external threats. Question number 19. You are the administrator for a company that uses Microsoft 365 and Azure subscriptions. The devices in your network run on Windows 11 and iOS. You need to develop a solution to handle various security tasks, including applying security baselines, configuring built-in firewalls, and managing device encryption. What service should you incorporate in your solution? We looked into this scenario as well in a couple of questions ago. The correct answer is Microsoft Intune. So Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based service that is focused on giving you an ability to manage your mobile device management and mobile application management. Question number 20. You have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a security baseline to establish network security guidelines. As part of your solution, you plan to include Azure Bastion. Which security feature does Azure Bastion provide for your solution? So we looked into Azure Bastion a couple of times in previous examples. Based on that, Which one do you think is the security feature which Azure Bastion provide? The correct answer is secure remote access to virtual machines. Because one of the primary role of Azure Bastion is to give you a service to connect into RDP and SSH connectivity to virtual machine directly through Azure portal, which will eliminate the need to expose virtual machines to public internet, thereby minimizing any sort of security risk. Question 21. Consider a scenario where you have just deployed a new Azure infrastructure. As part of your security design, you need to specify a cloud service model that assigns you complete responsibility for securing the operating system and network controls. Which cloud service model should you choose for this design? We have four options. This is not very common like function as a service, but we have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is infrastructure as a service or IaaS. IaaS or infrastructure as a service is a cloud computing model where the third party provider, in this case Azure, delivers and manages the basic infrastructure needed to run the application. This includes the server, storage, networking components. Essentially, it provides virtualized computing resources over the internet. Some of the benefits of IaaS include cost efficiency, scalability, flexibility, accessibility, and disaster recovery. Question number 22. You have an Azure subscription containing a web application named Web App 1. You are tasked with designing a security baseline for Web App 1, adhering to Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture, or known as MCRA, and Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, which is known as MCSB. Given the need to address posture and vulnerability management control, specifically for PV2, which is auditing and enforcing secure configuration, and PV7, which is conducting regular red team operation, which two tasks should you include in your design and select applicable answer? That means I think I'm expecting you to get at least two answers right here. So let's look into these options and see if you can come up with the right answer. The right answers are conduct regular penetration testing and turn off remote debugging. First, let's understand what is MCRA, or Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture, or MCRA, is a comprehensive framework designed to help organizations protect their digital environment. It provides guidance on implementing security controls, tools, and best practices to safeguard systems, data, and identities across both on-prem and cloud environments. Then what is MCSB, or Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark? MCSB is a set of guidelines and best practices for securing cloud environments, specifically those using Microsoft Azure. It provides detailed recommendations for protecting cloud resources and data, covering aspects such as identity management, network security, and threat protection. Question number 23. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a solution to secure Azure App Service web application. Your goal is to include measures that protect against SQL injection and cross-site scripting, which is known as XSS attacks. What should be the part of your design considerations? To design, you have these many options available: WAF, ARC, Firewall, Defender, Defender for containers. What is the right answer? The correct answer is Application Gateway Web Application Firewall, or WAF. So we looked into the WAF on Azure Front Door in one of the earlier questions. I don't know which question number, but this time we are looking into WAF on Application Gateway. So what is Application Gateway Web Application Firewall? Application Gateway WAF is a security feature that helps protect your web application from common vulnerabilities and attacks. It acts as a barrier between your web app and the internet, filtering and monitoring incoming traffic to block any sort of malicious request. Few of the benefits of this WAF include preventing any sort of SQL injection attack where attacker can manipulate your application databases, or it helps you protect against cross-site scripting or XSS attacks, which can steal users' data and disrupt site functionality. Additionally, this helps you provide real-time protection and monitoring, ensuring your web app is secure, and it helps you customize rules to meet specific security needs as well. Question number 24. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes a Microsoft Sentinel workspace, and you're tasked with classifying threat detection rules based on well-known public knowledge base of attack tactics and techniques. Which resource from Microsoft Sentinel should you review to identify the relevant attack tactics and techniques? Out of all these options, which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is MITRE ATT&CK. MITRE ATT&CK is a publicly accessible knowledge base of tactics and techniques commonly used by attackers and is created and maintained by observing real-world events. Many organizations use this MITRE ATT&CK knowledge base to develop specific threat models and methodologies that are used to verify security status in their environments. Question 25. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and you need to recommend a solution for centralized logging of cloud resources. The solution should comply with Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark or MCSB. We looked into that a couple of questions ago. And be capable of monitoring applications, virtual machines, and databases. Which option would you recommend? The options are Arc, Databox, Lighthouse, and Monitor. Which one is the right answer? The correct answer is Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is a tool that helps you keep an eye and manage the performance of your applications and infrastructure, regardless of whether they are in the cloud or on premises. By collecting and analyzing data from different parts of a system, Azure Monitor ensures everything runs smoothly and efficiently. Let's look into question number 26. You're tasked with managing Microsoft Sentinel workspaces across multiple tenants. Your goal is to access and manage these workspaces without needing separate accounts for each tenant. Which solution would you recommend? Let's look into these four options available. Is it a Log Analytics workspace or Azure Defender for Cloud, Azure Lighthouse, or Azure Monitor? The correct answer is Azure Lighthouse. So what is Azure Lighthouse? Azure Lighthouse is a powerful service provided by Microsoft Azure, which allows service providers and organizations to manage multiple Azure tenants effectively. It centralizes the management and monitoring of resources across different tenants without requiring separate accounts for each tenant. This particular streamlined approach simplifies operations, enhances security, and improves efficiency in managing Azure resources. Some of the benefits of Azure Lighthouse include centralized management, enhanced security, improved operational efficiency, etc. One of the use cases of Azure Lighthouse is if you are a managed service provider or MSP, you can use Azure Lighthouse to offer your client comprehensive Azure management services. By managing multiple client tenants from a single interface, MSPs can provide better customer services and operational efficiency. Question number 27. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and have implemented Microsoft Sentinel for security orchestration, automation, and response, which is commonly known as SOAR, within your organization. You need to identify a Microsoft Sentinel feature that can carry out these tasks. These tasks include triaging new incidents and update their status from new to active. You need to inspect incident contents for further actions and assign an honor to the incident. Which of the feature would best achieve these goals? Let's look into these four options. Is it automation rules, conditions, playbook, or triggers? The correct answer is automation rules. Automation rules are used to inspect contents of an incident. And within that incident, there are things like alerts, entities, and other properties. And these automation rules takes further action by calling a playbook. This automation rule is a part of a solution within the Microsoft Sentinel system. Microsoft Sentinel is the cloud native security information and event management SIEM and security orchestration, automation, and response SOAR solution. Let's look into question number 28. You have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a security operations strategy based on Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure. To organize your security operation effectively, you need to structure them into 3 tiers to address key outcomes. Which 3 tiers should you incorporate into your strategy to ensure comprehensive security operations management? Out of these options given below, we have to pick 3 answers. So, which ones do you think are the right answer? The correct answers are triage, investigation, and hunt. So, let me help you understand what these one by one. Typically, a security operations team should be structured into 3 tiers to focus on key outcome. First, let's look into triage. So, triage is tier 1. The first line of response for security incident. Triage is focused on the high volume processing of alerts and is generated by automation and tools. The triage processes solves most common incident types and resolve them within the team. If they end up encountering the complex incidents or incidents that have not seen or not resolved before, they should escalate that to tier 2. So what is tier 2? Tier 2 is the investigation one. Investigation is tier 2. This team focuses on incidents that require further investigation, often requiring a correlation of data points from multiple sources. This investigation aims to provide repeatable solution to resolve escalated to tier 2. And it enables the tier 1 to resolve later recurrences of that type of issue. And tier 2 will also respond to alerts against business critical system to reflect the severity of risk and the need to act quickly. And the third tier is the hunt. Hunting team focuses primarily on proactively hunting for highly sophisticated attack processes and developing guidance to the wider teams. The tier 3 team also act as an escalation point for major incident to support forensic analysis and responses. Let's look into question number 29. You are tasked with creating a centralized logging solution for an Azure environment. How do you ensure the integrity and security of your log and audit data to prevent unauthorized access and tampering? We have 4 options here. I would suggest you to pause, go through this option and see if you can find the correct answer. The correct answer for this question is encrypt log data in transit and at rest. Implementing strong encryption for log data both in transit and at rest is a key consideration to ensure data integrity and protecting log and auditing data from tampering or unauthorized access. So what are the key components of centralized logging? The first process is log collection. So Azure Monitor can gather log from various sources, including application services and network resources. Second is log storage. Azure Log Analytics Workspace is ideal for this particular purpose. The third is data integrity and security. To maintain the integrity of log data, you can encrypt the log data by using Azure Storage encryption capabilities, or you could implement Azure Role-Based Access Control to restrict access to log data to unauthorized personnel only. The next step is the log analysis and monitoring. So you can leverage Azure Sentinel for advanced threat detection and automated processes or responses. Fifth is retention policies. Then you can use alerting and reporting, and finally integration with third-party tools. So these are some of the key components of centralized logging and some of the best practices what you can follow. Let's look at question number 30. Imagine you are tasked with improving an Azure environment based on Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework best practices. You need to recommend the deployment of a solution that manages secrets, keys, and certificates, while also providing protection against accidental or intentional deletions. Which solution would you choose? Let's look into the available 4 options. Take a pause, see if you can come up with the answer. The correct answer is Azure Key Vault. So what is Azure Key Vault? Azure Key Vault is a cloud service offered by Microsoft Azure that helps safeguard cryptographic keys and secrets used by cloud applications and services. It stores sensitive data such as encryption keys, certificates, connection strings, and passwords in a secure manner. So some of the use cases of Azure Key Vault include you can use it to securely store secrets or managing certificates, or you can use it to encrypt data. Let's look into question number 31. Imagine you have a Microsoft 365 subscription and need to design a security solution. Your requirements are to provide just-in-time, that is JIT access for specific administrative task upon request, require approval for an approval group member, and ensure that the access automatically expires after a predetermined period. Which solution should you implement to meet these requirements? Go through these four options. The correct answer is Privileged Access Management, or PAM. So what is PAM, or Privileged Access Management? Privileged Access Management is a security solution designed to govern and monitor access to privileged tasks or resources within an organization. It allows for just-in-time activations of privileges, meaning that elevated access is granted only when necessary and for a limited time. And privileged access management also enforces strict controls over privileged access to reduce the risk of unauthorized activities. Question number 32. You oversee a Microsoft Entra tenant that manages identity services for both internal and external access to Microsoft SharePoint Online and numerous cloud applications. To effectively govern external access to these cloud services, you need to devise a solution that adheres to following criteria. What are these criteria? These criteria include resources should be encapsulated within the access packages. Approval from designated approvers must be required for access requests to these packages. What would be the best solution to implement under these conditions? And we have four options. Let's look into these four options and see if we can find the correct answer. The right answer is entitlement management. So what is entitlement management? Entitlement management is a system that helps organizations define, manage, and control the access rights of users to various resources. These resources can include groups, applications, and Microsoft SharePoint Online sites. The primary goal of entitlement management is to ensure that the right individuals have the appropriate access to the right resources based on their role and responsibilities within the organization. Let us look into one of the real-world example of entitlement management. I'm going to give you an example how it works in a healthcare organization. A hospital uses entitlement management to ensure that doctors have access to patient records while administrative staff have access to billing information. So this helps protect patient privacy and ensures that sensitive information is only accessible to authorized personnel. Question number 33. Imagine you are designing a privileged access strategy for your organization to minimize the impact of security breaches. You have a Windows 11 device named Device 1 that needs to be categorized and assigned appropriate security profile based on its use and requirements. Device 1 restricts users from local administrative access, limit web traffic to specific destinations, and only allows applications necessary for specific tasks within the network. Which security profile would be most suitable for device 1? Go through these four options. We looked into privileged access management before. The correct answer for this question is Privileged Access Workstation, or PAW. So what is PAW, or a Privileged Access Workstation? A Privileged Access Workstation is a dedicated computer designed to be highly secure for performing sensitive tasks. It is specifically built to ensure that administrative and privileged activities are conducted in a controlled and secure environment. The key aspects of a PAW include restricting local administrative access, limiting the installation of unnecessary software, and controlling network traffic to minimize the potential attack surface. If you want to understand one of the use cases of a PAW is, let's look at a financial services. Employees handling sensitive financial data, transactions, or accessing confidential customer information can use these privileged access workstation to ensure that their activities are protected from cyber threats. Let's look at question number 34. Imagine your company has implemented a cloud solution that incorporates both Microsoft 365 and Azure. You're tasked with recommending a strategy to enhance the security of privileged access. The strategy must align with the following requirements: implement zero trust principles for all access, prevent unauthorized privilege escalation, use management plane and control plane concept to separate resource and access control. What strategy would you propose to meet these requirements? Let's look into these four options. The correct answer is enterprise access control. So what is this enterprise access control? The enterprise access control model is a framework used to manage and control access to an organization's resources in a consistent and secure manner. This helps integrate privileged access, which is the ability for certain users to access sensitive data or systems, into the broader enterprise access strategy. This model ensures that access to resources is granted based on the principles of least privilege, meaning users only get access to what they need to perform their job and validate trust, which means verifying the identity of users and their locations before granting access. Question number 35. Imagine you are responsible for designing a privileged access strategy for a cloud deployment that includes both Microsoft 365 and Azure. Your strategy will incorporate the following controls. These controls are ensuring consistent access across your assets, adhering to the principle of least privilege, validating trust for all user locations. Which part of the enterprise access model should you include in your design to meet these requirements? Let's pause the video, look through these options and see if you can find the correct answer. The right answer is control plane. So what is control plane? In the context of enterprise access model, the control plane is a centralized system that manages and regulates access to various IT resources within an organization. This system is based on a centralized enterprise identity system designed to ensure that only authorized users can access specific resources across the enterprise. It often includes additional layers of security such as network access control, particularly for older systems like operational technology devices. In Microsoft Azure, Azure uses a control plane to manage access to its cloud resources. Through Azure Active Directory, administrators can control who accesses what resources, ensuring security and compliance across the cloud environment. Question 36. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and need to design a compliant solution that ensures business rules for Azure resource properties are checked and enforced. How can you make sure a resource is evaluated whenever it is created or updated? What available options from these will allow you to do that? The correct answer is Azure Policy. So what is Azure Policy? Azure Policy is a service in Microsoft Azure that allows you to create, assign, and manage policies that enforce different rules and effects over your resources. These policies ensure that resources within your Azure environment comply with your corporate standards and service level agreements. These policies are written in JSON format and define what is allowed and what is not within your Azure subscriptions. Let's look at question 37. Your organization has subscriptions to Microsoft 365 E5 and Azure, and you are tasked with developing a security solution that includes compliance management guidelines. You need to propose a tool that simplifies and accelerates the process of locating and managing personal data when requested by users. What tool would you recommend? Let's look into all these four options and see if you can come up with the right answer. The correct answer is Microsoft Priva Subject Rights Request. Microsoft Priva Subject Rights Request is a tool designed to help companies manage requests from individuals about their personal data. So when someone asks for their data, the tool automates parts of the process, gives insights, and provides workflow to handle these requests more efficiently and confidently. This reduces the complexity and time it takes to respond to these queries. Some of the benefits of Microsoft Priva subject rights requests include automation, insights, and workflow management. If you want to look at a use case, so imagine if a customer requests all the data a company has collected about them, Microsoft Priva subject right request can quickly gather and organize this data. Or another use case is an employee wants to know what personal information the company holds. This tool helps the HR department fulfill this request accurately and efficiently. Question number 38. You manage a Microsoft 365 and an Azure subscription and have various devices running Windows, Android, or Mac operating system. With Windows devices deployed to Azure, you need to design a policy that ensures any new or altered settings rights in the policy being marked as non-compliant. Which two policy effect should you use to achieve this? Each correct answer provides a complete solution. Let's look into these options and see if we can find these correct two answers. The correct answers are append and deny. We already looked into what Azure policy is. Azure policy is the one which you can use to create, assign, and manage these policies that enforce different rules and effect over the resources. This append and deny policy ensures any sort of new or altered setting result in the policy being marked as non-compliant. Question number 39. You are working on an Azure subscription and need to design a solution that streamlines regulatory compliance processes. Your solution must meet few of these criteria. Implement security controls aligned with Center of Internet Security (CIS) and National Institute of Standards and Technology (NIST). It should include a dashboard for identifying compliance gaps based on chosen standards and regulations, and it should support both automated and manual assessments for remediation. Which service should you include in your solution? The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So what is Microsoft Defender for Cloud? Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a security management tool designed to protect cloud and hybrid environments. It helps monitor the security posture of resources across multiple clouds, such as Azure and AWS, and provides recommendations to improve security and compliance. What is the use case of it? So let's look into one of the examples here. Companies using multiple cloud providers can utilize Defender for Cloud to get a unified view of their security status and enforce policies consistently across platforms. Question number 40. You have an Azure subscription containing several Azure file shares. To enhance your resiliency strategy across ransomware attack, you need to plan an Azure backup solution for these file shares. What type of storage entity should you recommend for the Azure files backups? Let's look into these options, see if you can find the correct answer. The correct answer for this question is Azure Recovery Services Vault or a Recovery Services Vault. So what is a Recovery Services Vault? A Recovery Services Vault is a storage entity in Azure that securely holds the backup data. It essentially acts as a safe house for copies of data or configuration files from virtual machines, workloads, servers, or workstations. The key benefit of using a recovery services vault is that it offers a centralized, secure, and scalable solution for backing up data, ensuring it is protected and recoverable in case of data loss or corruption. Let's look at question number 41. Imagine you have both an Azure subscription and a Microsoft 365 subscription. You are tasked with designing a strategy to ensure resiliency against ransomware attacks. What solution would you propose to prevent attackers from gaining administrative permissions and to limit potential damage to Azure resources? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Privileged Access Management, or PAM. So what is Privileged Access Management? A privileged access management allows organizations to govern and monitor access to privileged tasks or resources, which allows them to perform just-in-time activation of privileges and enforce strict controls over privileged access. Let's look into a use case of a privileged access management incorporating in critical system protection. Organizations can use privileged access management to safeguard access to sensitive systems such as financial databases or intellectual property repositories. Question number 42. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes SQL Server on Azure virtual machines. Suddenly, you discover that a ransomware attack has occurred. You must follow the Microsoft Detection and Response Team, which is DART, guidance to respond to the incident, ensuring business operations are minimally disrupted. What should be your initial step? Out of all these options, what do you think should be your correct or the first step? The first step should be accessing the scope of the incident. That is the right answer for this particular question. The first step in the DART guidance is containment by first assessing the scope of the incident. Once you have identified the scope of the attack, you can then take action by preserving the existing system and then establish the recovery process. The Microsoft Detection and Response Team, which is DART, is a specialized group within Microsoft that focuses on helping organizations respond to and recover from cybersecurity incidents, including ransomware attacks. They offer expertise in various aspects of cybersecurity, such as threat detection, incident response, recovery, and post-incident analysis. Question number 43. Imagine you are tasked with developing a strategy to enhance the resilience of an Azure environment against ransomware attacks. Which key objectives should be prioritized when implementing network segmentation to bolster this strategy? Let's look into these options. The correct answer is to limit the lateral movement of ransomware. Okay, what is network segmentation? Network segmentation involves dividing a computer network into smaller, isolated sections. The primary purpose of this is to limit the lateral movement of ransomware or other threats. If a part of the network is infected, the segmentation keeps the infection contained, preventing it from spreading to the entire network. Some of the benefits of this network segmentation include improved security, enhanced performance, and simplified management. If you want to look at a use case in a large corporation, different departments like HR, finance, IT might have their own network segments to ensure sensitive data is protected. Let's look at question 44. Consider you are tasked with designing a security framework for a new Azure deployment based on the guidelines of Microsoft Security Reference Architecture, which is MCRA. You need to create a strategy focused on effectively reducing the risk of insider threats within your organization. What measures should you include in this strategy? Let's look into these options. The correct answer is monitor and audit users or user activities and access privileges. First, let's look into what are insider threats. Insider threats refers to risk posed by individuals within an organization who have access to critical data and systems. These threats can originate from employees, contractors, or other trusted insiders who misuse their access either intentionally or unintentionally. Insider threats can lead to data breaches, loss of sensitive information, and significant financial or reputational damage. So, what is MCRA? MCRA, which stands for Monitoring, Compliance, Risk and Auditing. This is a framework designed to help organizations detect and mitigate risk, which is primarily insider risk attacks, through vigilant monitoring and auditing of user activities and access privileges. Question number 45. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a solution that adheres to Zero Trust Rapid Modernization Plan, which is RAMP or RAMP. This solution must include guidelines for ransomware recovery readiness, ensuring that backups are validated, secure, and facilitate a rapid recovery. Which RAMP initiative would you or should you incorporate in your design plan? Let's look into the options provided. The correct answer is data compliance and governance. So let's look into what is this RAMP or Rapid Modernization Plan. This Zero Trust Rapid Modernization Plan is a strategic approach to cybersecurity that emphasizes the need to always verify access requests before granting them, regardless of whether they originate from within or outside the network. Instead of assuming that entities inside the network are trustworthy, RAMP advocates for a never trust, always verify mindset. This plan helps organizations protect their data, infrastructure, and users by implementing security measures that continuously assess and validate risk and access permissions. One of the use cases of RAMP is it can help organizations prepare for ransomware attacks by implementing robust access controls and monitor systems that detect and respond to suspicious activity, thereby mitigating the impact of such attack. Question 46. Consider you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a security solution that aligns with the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark or MCSB. The solution should include guidance on best practices for managing security alerts and notification. Which control from the MCSB should be included in your strategy? Let's look at the options. The correct answer is incident response. But let's go and learn about what is this Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark or MCSB. The Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark is a set of best practices and guidelines created by Microsoft to help organizations secure their cloud environments. It covers various aspects of cloud security, including governance, strategy, threat detection, network security, and incident response. The benchmark provides a comprehensive framework for assessing and improving the security of cloud resources and services. Question number 47. Imagine you are tasked with designing a user access solution that adheres to the Zero Trust principle of the Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architectures, which is MCRA. You need to propose features that ensure the least privileged access to Azure resources. Which two features would you recommend to fulfill this requirement? Each correct answer contributes to the solution. So let's look into the available option. What are the two features would you recommend? The correct answers are just-in-time access and risk-based access policies. MCRA states least privileged access as one of the principles of guidelines. The features that support this guidance include just-in-time access and risk-based access policies in Azure. Let's look at some of the use cases of MCRA. So MCRA can be applied in various scenarios to enhance an organization's cybersecurity efforts. Let's look into a cloud security example. Organizations migrating to cloud environments such as Microsoft Azure can use MCRA to establish robust security measures that protect their data and application in the cloud. This includes implementing data encryption, network segmentation, and risk-based access policies. Question number 48. Imagine your organization is planning a migration from an on-premises network to an Azure environment. As part of the design plan, you are incorporating principles from Microsoft well-architected framework. You need to include a strategy that ensures consistent control measures are in place to intercept authentication requests for Azure resources. Which strategy should you include in the design? Go through these available options and see if you can find the right answer. The correct answer is establish a modern perimeter. So first of all, what is Microsoft well-architected framework? The Microsoft well-architected framework, or WAF, is a set of guiding principles and best practices designed to help architects and developers build, manage, and optimize their cloud solutions effectively. So let's look into a use case of a Microsoft well-architected framework. Organizations migrating their workloads to the cloud can use this WAF to ensure a smooth, efficient transition. Now let's understand what is this establishing a modern perimeter mean. So establishing a modern perimeter refers to a strategy of defining security boundaries based on intercepting authentication requests rather than traditional methods like intercepting network traffic. This involves leveraging technologies such as zero trust architecture, where trust is never assumed and all access requests are authenticated and authorized, regardless of their origin. Question number 49. Imagine you have an Azure subscription containing various custom applications, and you are in the process of designing an application development workflow that integrates the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure's CI/CD DevOps methodology. To ensure security throughout this process, you need to identify the appropriate DevSecOps control that employs the STRIDE model to outline security practices. Which DevSecOps control should you choose? Let's look at the available options. The correct answer is threat modeling. So what is this DevSecOps control using this STRIDE model? What is STRIDE? The STRIDE model is a threat modeling framework used to identify and mitigate security threats in software development. STRIDE stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. Now let's understand what is this threat modeling. Threat modeling is a process used to identify, access, and address potential security threats in software systems. It involves analyzing the architecture, design, and implementation of applications to discover vulnerabilities and plan mitigations. Threat modeling can range from simple question and answer methods to detailed analysis using centralized tools. Common methodologies for threat modeling include STRIDE model, the DREAD model, and OWASP threat modeling. Let's look at question number 50. Imagine you are tasked with designing an Azure deployment for a large organization. You need to recommend an architecture model that fulfills the following requirements. The requirements are: utilizes subscription to separate and scale application resources and platform resources, aligns with the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure, and can be effectively managed by one or more central teams. Which architecture model would you include in your recommendation? Let's look at the options first. The correct answer is Azure Landing Zones. So what is Azure Landing Zones? Azure Landing Zones are a set of guidelines, best practices, and resources designed to help organizations set up a comprehensive, scalable cloud environment in Microsoft Azure. These zones serve as foundational blocks for deploying and managing workloads in Azure, offering a consistent approach to governance, security, and operations. So let's look at a use case for an Azure landing zone for application deployment. Azure Landing Zone simplifies the process of deploying application by providing pre-configured environments that comply with organizational policies. And this can enable the creation of shared services, example, networking, identity management, that can be used by various applications and workloads. In a real world example, if you look at an e-commerce platform, if a large e-commerce company uses Azure Landing Zone to deploy their online shopping application, the application landing zone include multiple subscriptions for different services. One for web servers, or another one for databases or for payment processing. The platform landing zone manages shared services like identity management and network security, ensuring consistency and compliance across all environments. Let's look at question number 51. Imagine you have a hybrid cloud infrastructure that includes on-premises Windows and Linux servers, on-premises Microsoft SQL Server instances, and Azure resources. You need to design a security management solution that ensures consistent inventory, governance, and security across both on-premises and Azure environments, and offers a unified viewing and management experience via centralized Azure-based platform. Which service should you incorporate in your solution? We have four options: Azure Arc, Bastion, Logic Apps, and Stack Hub. What is the correct answer? The right answer is Azure Arc. So what is Azure Arc? Azure Arc is a solution provided by Microsoft that helps simplify governance and management across different cloud environments and on-premises data centers. It offers a consistent platform where you can manage diverse resources, whether they are in Azure, other cloud providers, or on-premises, all in one place. What are the benefits of Azure Arc? It provides a unified management option, centralized control, consistency. It allows you to do enhanced DevOps capabilities and hybrid integration. So let's look at a use case for an Azure Arc to manage virtual machine. You can use Azure Arc to control and monitor virtual machines across various platforms as if they are Azure based or as if they were already in Azure based, ensuring consistent security and performance. Let's look at question 52. Consider you have an Azure subscription and you aim to elevate and enhance security in alignment with Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark or MCSB standards. You need to recommend a solution that meets the PV1, that is define and establish security configuration MCSB control, ensuring the establishment of secure configurations for newly implemented Azure resources. What solution would you suggest? Let's look at the four options available. The correct answer is Azure Landing Zones. So we looked into the examples on MCSB at question number 46, and we looked into one example of what is Azure Landing Zone on question number 50. So if you want further explanation on what it is, you can go through that to understand what is MCSB and Azure Landing Zone. The P-V1 define and establish secure configurations MCSB control defines the security configuration baseline for different resource types in the cloud. You can use Azure Landing Zone to provide a consistent and secure initial standard for when you implement a new resource. Question number 53. Your company operates in a hybrid cloud environment that includes a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription encompassing both on-premises servers and cloud-based services. Imagine you are tasked with enhancing the security posture of your organization. You need to provide a solution that can first assess and report the current state of your organization's security posture. Second, offer recommendations and insight to boost security. Third, benchmark current results against standard metrics and establish key performance indicators. Which solution would you propose to meet these requirements? Let's look into these options. The correct answer is Microsoft Secure Score. So what is Microsoft Secure Score? Microsoft Secure Score is a measurement tool provided by Microsoft that helps organizations elevate their security posture within the Microsoft 365 environment. It offers a score out of a possible 100, representing the overall security level based on the adoption of recommended security practices and configurations. The higher the secure score, the better the organization's adherence to security best practices. Let's look at question number 54. You are managing an Azure subscription and need to implement conditional access policies that determine access to Azure resources based on the compliance status of users' devices. How can you achieve this? Let us look into the four options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Intune. So how can Microsoft Intune help you with this? Microsoft Intune is needed for a conditional access policy to identify access to a resource based on compliance status. Intune will establish compliance and provide the result to the conditional access policy. Let's look at question number 55. Your organization has an Azure subscription that encompasses both on-premises servers and cloud-based services, creating a hybrid cloud environment. Given this setup, you need to recommend security protocols for web workloads that satisfies the following criteria. What are these criteria? First is encrypt sensitive data during transmission. Second, implement network segmentation. Third, utilize a centralized identity and authentication system. What should be included in your recommendation? Look at these four options and what should be the correct answer? The correct answer is Azure Security Baselines. So what is Azure Security Baselines? Azure Security Baselines are a set of predefined security policies and best practices provided by Microsoft to help organizations secure their Azure resources. These baselines are designed to assist in creating and maintaining secure configurations for services like software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. So one of the use case of Azure Security Baseline for a new deployment include when you deploy new application or services in Azure, security baselines can be applied to ensure that all resources are configured securely from the start. Question number 56. Consider the following scenario. You have an Azure subscription that hosts multiple web applications, each with a registered DNS name through a public DNS registrar. You need to propose a solution that alerts you when an app is decommissioned. Ensure that any residual DNS entries in the registrar are identified. What would you recommend? Let's look at the available four options. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for App Service. So what is this Microsoft Defender for App Service? Microsoft Defender for App Service is a security tool designed to protect your web applications hosted on Azure App Service. It helps detect and mitigate security risk by providing continuous monitoring and advanced threat detection. This ensures that your web application remains secure and that potential vulnerabilities are quickly identified and addressed. Some of the benefits of Microsoft Defender for App Service include threat detection, continuous monitoring, and actionable recommendations. Question number 57. You manage an Azure subscription that manages multiple AKS clusters running on containerized application. Your goal is to implement a security baseline for these AKS instances that includes monitoring for unauthorized Azure resources and ensuring secure configurations. Which solution would you choose to meet these requirements? Let's look into these four options. The correct answer is Azure Policy. We looked into Azure Policy in detail in the previous questions. So what is Azure Policy? Azure Policy evaluates resources and actions in Azure by comparing the properties of those resources to business rules. These business rules described in JSON format are known as policy definition. You can create, assign, and manage these policies that enforce different rules and effects over your resources hosted in Azure, including which allows you to deploy this Azure policy on your AKS instances. Let's look at question number 58. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and you are tasked with designing a security baseline for PaaS services within the Azure environment. As part of the process, you need to determine the primary security perimeter to address in your design. What would be the main security perimeter to focus on? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is identity security perimeter. In modern security practices, the concept of an identity security perimeter has become crucial. As cyber threats evolve, organizations must adapt their defense strategies to ensure robust protection against breaches. The identity security perimeter focuses on safeguarding individual identities rather than just relying on network security measures. What are some of the importance of identity security perimeter? Identity security perimeter is essential because it assumes that attackers may have already breached the network. So instead of only protecting the boundary of an organization's network, it focuses on securing the identities within the network. This approach is vital to give you strong authentication, authorization control, and continuous monitoring. Question number 59. You have an Azure subscription and are tasked with creating a resiliency plan for Azure resources and data based on Microsoft security best practices. Your goal is to provide suggestions to minimize the impact of ransomware attack on the organization. What two recommendations should be included in your strategy? Each correct answer contributes to the solution. Let us look into the provided options and find the right answer. The correct answers are provide user education and refine backup and restore procedures. See, these ransomware attacks have become a prevalent threat to organizations worldwide, causing substantial disruptions and financial losses. To mitigate the impact of such attacks, organizations must implement a comprehensive strategy that includes both preventive and reactive measures. So what are the preventive measures you can use? One is user education. Educating users on cyber attack prevention is crucial as human errors is often a primary cause of ransomware infections. Users should be aware of the common tactics used by attackers such as phishing emails and malicious links. So what are the things you can do? You can conduct regular training sessions, you can implement simulated phishing exercises, or you can provide clear guidelines on safe browsing practices. What is a reactive measure you can do? One of the reactive measure is refining backup and restore procedure. So what is the importance of it? When you equip backup and restore procedures, these are vital for ensuring the data can be recovered quickly and effectively in the event of a ransomware attack. This reduces downtime and minimizes the overall impact. Let's look at some of the best practices. So you can implement regular automated backups of critical data. You can store backups in multiple locations, including off-site or cloud storage. Test backup or restore procedures periodically to ensure they work correctly and quickly, and maintain an inventory of all critical systems and data to prioritize during recovery. Question number 60. Imagine you own an Azure subscription that includes multiple Azure file shares. As part of your strategy to protect against ransomware attacks, you need to implement an Azure backup solution for these file shares. Which storage entity should you choose for backing up Azure files? Let's look into these four options. The correct answer is Recovery Services Vault. We looked into what is Recovery Services Vault in question number 40. If you want to understand what is Recovery Services Vault, it's a storage entity in Azure that securely holds the backup data. The key benefit of using a Recovery Services Vault is it offers a centralized, secure, and scalable solution for backing up data. Question number 61. You are managing an Azure subscription that includes several virtual machines. Your task is to develop a mitigation strategy to address potential security threats to these machines. You decide to implement Azure Update Manager. How can Azure Update Manager help mitigate security threats? Please include a detailed description in your design plan. So out of these available options, what do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is enables the efficient deployment of critical security updates. So let's go and learn what is this Azure Update Manager is. Azure Update Manager is a tool that helps manage updates for your Azure resources. Its main function is to deploy critical security patches quickly, which reduces the time these resources are vulnerable. One of the key benefits is that it ensures your systems are always up to date with the latest security standards, thereby enhancing protection against potential threats. Some of the use cases of Azure Update Manager include automated deployment, compliance and governance, and enhanced security. Let's look at question number 62. You are tasked with designing an Azure deployment solution based on Zero Trust implementation guidance. To achieve this, you plan to incorporate Rapid Modernization Plan or RAMP initiatives. Given these objectives, what should be prioritized in your plan? We looked into what is RAMP before. Out of all these options, what is the correct answer? The right answer is user access and productivity. The top priority of RAMP initiative is to secure user access and productivity. This includes validating trust for all identities that access apps, endpoints, and network resources. Question number 63. Imagine you are tasked with creating a security architecture guided by principles of Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, which is MCSB. As part of your design, you decide to address insider threats by incorporating users and entity behavior analysis into the security framework. What key advantage would you highlight when integrating user and entity behavior analysis into your security strategy? We looked into what is MCSB in question number 46, so you can refer that to understand a bit more about it. Let's look at these available options and find out what is the right answer. The correct answer is detect patterns of suspicious behavior and anomalies activities. UBA is primarily designed to analyze user behavior and detect patterns of suspicious or anomaly activities, which is essential for identifying and mitigating insider threats. MCSB is a set of best practices and guidelines created by Microsoft to help organizations secure their cloud environments. Question number 64. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with creating a strategy to ensure business resilience as guided by the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure. You need to determine where to categorize tasks such as securing and maintaining critical business operations and preventing any further harm. Which phase of the security risk lifecycle do these actions best fit into? Let's look into these options. The correct answer is during an incident. The two main priorities of an incident are protect critical applications, that is, if threatened, all efforts should focus on protecting and sustaining critical business operation over all other functions. Second is to prevent further damage. The default priority of security operation is to discover the full extent of attackers' access and then rapidly evict the attackers from the environment. This eviction prevents further damage by the attackers, including retaliation. Let's look at question number 65. You are an IT administrator working with an Azure subscription. You need to develop a comprehensive security strategy based on Microsoft Azure well-architected framework. In your plan, you want to incorporate the use of security information and event management, which is SIEM, tools such as Microsoft Sentinel to effectively monitor and respond to security incidents. Which design principle does this scenario best illustrate? Out of these options, which one do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is monitor system security, plan incident response. The principle of monitor system security and plan incident report in the Azure well-architected framework highlights the need for using SIEM tooling to track and respond to security incident. To understand more about the well-architected framework, please refer to question number 48. Question number 66. Consider a hybrid cloud infrastructure that includes both an on-premises Active Directory domain services, which is ADDS Forest, and a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription. The ADDS Forest comprises two domain controllers and Active Directory certificate services, which is ADCS server. You aim to implement a cloud-based solution that fulfills the following requirements: monitors suspicious user activities, identifies advanced attacks, and protects user identities and credentials. Given these criteria, which solution would you recommend? Let's look at these available options. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Identity. So what is Microsoft Defender for Identity? Microsoft Defender for Identity is a cloud-based security solution designed to protect your organization's identities. It works by using signals from on-premises Active Directory to identify, detect, and investigate advanced threats, compromised identities, and malicious insider actions. Essentially, it helps organizations monitor and safeguard their user accounts from unauthorized access and security breaches. Let's look at question number 67. Imagine you are managing a Microsoft 365 E5 subscription and have deployed Microsoft Defender XDR. You need to recommend a solution that can achieve the following objectives: identify cloud apps in use and their associated users, prevent unauthorized applications from being utilized. Which solution would you suggest? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. The Defender for Cloud Apps provides capabilities to discover and control app usages in the cloud. If you want to know more about it, I've explained that what is Defender for Cloud Apps in question number 6. Let's look at question number 68. Imagine you have a Microsoft 365 subscription and need to design a strategy to protect against threat in your Microsoft 365 environment. Which solution would you recommend to safeguard against malicious files stored in Microsoft SharePoint Online, OneDrive, and Teams location? Let's look at the available options. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender Safe Attachments. What is Microsoft Defender Safe Attachments? Microsoft Defender Safe Attachment is a security feature designed to protect against malware in email attachment and files. It works by scanning attachments in emails and files stored in SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams for malicious content. If an attachment is found to be harmful, it is blocked from being delivered or accessed. Let's look at question number 69. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes a web application named Web App 1, and you want to incorporate static application security testing, which is SAST, to safeguard the development process and monitor technical debt in web apps code. Which solution would you use? The correct answer for this is Sonar Cloud. So what is Sonar Cloud? Sonar Cloud is a cloud-based service designed to help developers ensure the quality and security of their code. It provides static application security testing, which analyzes the source code for vulnerabilities, code smells, and bugs without executing the program. This helps developers identify and fix potential issues early in the development process. Some of the benefits of Sonar Cloud includes automated code analysis, improved code quality, enhanced security, multi-language support, and visibility. Let's look at question number 70. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes 100 applications already onboarded. You are tasked with designing a solution using the Microsoft Threat Modeling tool to identify and address threats, attacks, vulnerabilities, and countermeasures for these applications. What should be the initial step in this process? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is gather information about the basic security controls. Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool is a software application designed to help identify, analyze, and mitigate potential security threats during the development of applications. By systematically examining the various aspects of application design, the tool aids in uncovering vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. This proactive approach ensures that security measures are integrated into the development process, enhancing the overall resiliency of the application. Question number 71. Imagine you have an Azure subscription that includes a storage account named Storage One. Your task is to design a security solution that meets the following requirements: prevent any modification or deletions of Storage One, ensure that blob versions cannot be deleted for a period of 90 days. Which two features would you incorporate to achieve these objectives? Out of these options, what are the two options you think is the right answer? The correct answers are immutability policy and resource lock. So first and foremost, what is immutability policy? An immutability policy is a security feature designed to protect data from being deleted or altered. Once applied, it ensures that the data remains unchanged for a specific period of time. This is particularly useful for compliance or regulatory requirements where data integrity and retention are crucial. The next is resource lock. So what is resource lock? A resource lock is a feature that protects resources in a cloud environment from being accidentally modified or deleted. By applying a lock, you ensure that the resources remain secure and unchanged, preventing any unintended changes. Let's look at question number 72. You have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a governance solution. Part of this solution includes or involves utilizing the Microsoft Purview governance portal to automatically discover data stored across your cloud infrastructure. Describe the feature that performs this automated data discovery. So look into these options provided. Let's find out what is the right answer. The correct answer is data catalog. So what is Microsoft Purview data cataloging? The data cataloging feature of Microsoft Purview is an enterprise-grade data governance tool that enables organizations to discover, catalog, and manage data assets across their cloud and on-premises environments. This feature allows users to create a comprehensive map of their data estate, facilitating easier access, understanding, and utilization of their data. Question number 73. Consider that you have an Azure subscription and you are tasked with designing a solution for logging and auditing. Your goal is to gather security logs and event details from various Azure resources and enable comprehensive analysis within a centralized log analytics workspace. Which two services would you recommend to accomplish this? Let's have a look into these options and find out what are the two correct answers. The first correct answer is Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is a comprehensive service that helps you collect, analyze, and act on telemetry data from your Azure resources. It provides insights into your performance and health of your applications. The next one is Microsoft Sentinel. Microsoft Sentinel is a cloud-native security information and event management and security orchestration and automated response solution. It aggregates data from various sources, including users, applications, servers, and devices running on your network, providing a comprehensive view of your security posture. Let's look at question number 74. Consider you are tasked with developing a centralized logging and threat detection solution for your Azure setup. Your solution needs to incorporate the following elements: centralized security log management and analysis, activation of logging for security investigation purposes, and configuration of log storage retention. Which framework should your solution be based on? We have looked into these frameworks in the previous question. What is the right answer? The correct answer is Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, or MCSB. You can refer to question number 46 for further details. The MCSB controls for logging and threat detections are controls for detecting threats on cloud and enabling, collecting, and storing audit logs for cloud services. These services include enabling detection, investigation, and remediation process with controls to generate high quality alerts with native threat detection in cloud services. Question number 75. You are responsible for securing the ADDS attack surface in a given Active Directory domain services. Your task include outlining the default rights and permissions associated with high privileged groups. In particular, you need to identify which groups have the authority to add or remove domains within the forest. Which groups would you describe? Let's look into this option. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is enterprise admins only. First, what is this ADDS attack surface? So this ADDS attack surface refers to all the potential ways an attacker can exploit vulnerabilities within an ADDS environment. So how does the enterprise admin only group helps? So the enterprise admin group is the one of the most powerful group in the ADDS environment. Members of this group have permission that allow them to make changes across the entire forest, which includes all the domain within that forest. This ability to implement forest-wide changes is crucial for maintaining security and ensuring that security practices are consistently applied. Let's look at question number 76. Imagine you have a subscription to Microsoft 365 E5. You need to find a solution that allows you to effectively manage user account tasks for cloud resources while ensuring the following requirements are met. Support for Microsoft Entra privileged identity management and inclusion of access reviews. What would you recommend? Let's look at the options. The correct answer is Microsoft Entra roles. So what is Microsoft Entra roles or RBAC? Microsoft Entra role-based access control is a system that allows administrators to manage access to Microsoft Entra resources based on a role of individual users within the organization. Instead of giving everyone unrestricted access, RBAC ensures that users only have access to the information and tasks relevant to their roles. Let's look at question number 77. You have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a solution to ensure secure access to Azure resources. You plan to include recommendations for protecting assets using Hardware Security Module or HSM. Considering the advantages of HSM, what is the primary benefit of using it on your cryptographic operations? Let's look into the options available, find the right answer. The correct answer is manages secrets, keys, and certificates for cryptographic operations. First and foremost, what is HSMs? HSM or hardware security modules are dedicated devices designed to protect and manage digital keys for strong authentication and provide crypto processing. They are primarily used to secure financial transactions, protect sensitive data, and manage cryptographic keys. HSMs offer a high level security because they are using hardware based encryption and are resilient or resistant to tampering. Question number 78. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and need to design an access solution that fulfills the following requirements. These requirements are activates a role based on time and approval, utilizes multi-factor authentication, assigns just-in-time privileges, monitors access rights. Which component should we include in this solution to meet these needs? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Privileged Identity Management or PIM. So in the previous question, we looked into what is PAM and what is PAR. So now let's look into PIM. So what is PIM? Privileged identity management is a security feature within Microsoft Azure that enables organizations to manage, control, and monitor access to important resources. PIM allows for time based and approval based role activation, which helps mitigate risk associated with excessive, unnecessary, or misused access permissions. Some of the benefits of PIM include enhanced security, gives you compliance, monitoring and reporting, and approval workflows. Let's look at question number 79. You are managing an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing an identity governance solution. As part of the design, you need to include guidelines on utilizing access reviews. What is the main purpose of conducting access reviews in this context? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is to regularly access and manage group membership and role assignments. First and foremost, what is access reviews? Access reviews are a process in which an organization regularly checks and evaluates who has access to various resources such as data, systems, or applications. The main goal is to ensure that the right people have the right level of access and to remove or modify access that is no longer needed or appropriate. Question number 80. You are managing an Azure subscription with data stored in Azure Storage. To safeguard this data against ransomware attacks and adhering to Microsoft security best practices, what should be your initial step to minimize the monetary incentive for attackers? Let's go through this option and see if we can find the correct answer. The right answer is prepare a recovery plan. Preparing a ransomware recovery plan involves creating a strategy to restore and secure your system and data in case they are compromised by ransomware. A type of malicious software designed to block access to your data until a ransom is paid. Some of the benefits of a ransomware recovery plan include minimizes downtime, protects data, reduces financial impact, maintains trust, and improves future security. Question number 81. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are responsible for designing a resiliency strategy to combat ransomware attacks. The strategy involves several steps in security risk lifecycle: before an incident, during an incident, and after an incident, and a feedback loop. During which stage of this process do you identify lessons learned and make changes to the current security procedures? Let's look into this option. What do you think is the right answer? The correct answer is feedback loop. So, what is the security risk feedback loop? The security risk feedback loop is a crucial component of the security risk lifecycle process. It is the step where organizations review and analyze incidents that have occurred to identify lessons learned. This analysis leads to changes and improvements in existing security processes to prevent similar incidents in the future. Essentially, it is a continuous process of learning and enhancement aimed at fortifying the organization's security posture. The feedback loop's benefits include enhanced security measures, proactive approach, improved response time, increased resiliency, and compliance. Question 82. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and you are tasked with creating a solution in line with your zero trust ramp. This solution needs to include guidance on ransomware recovery readiness, ensuring secure and validated backups for rapid recovery. Which ramp initiative should you incorporate in your design? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is data compliance and governance. A zero trust ramp is a strategic approach to cybersecurity that emphasizes the need to always verify access requests before granting them, regardless of whether they originate from within or outside the network. So instead of assuming the entities inside the network are trustworthy, RAMP advocates for a never trust, always verify mindset. This plan helps organizations protect their data infrastructure and users by implementing security measures that continuously assess and validate risk and access permissions. Question number 83. You have subscribed to Microsoft 365 for email and collaboration services. As part of your security strategy, you plan to incorporate attack simulation training. Describe the tool you would use to select the payload and initiate the simulation. What details would you include in your design? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender XDR. Microsoft Defender XDR means Extended Detection and Response, is a comprehensive solution designed to provide enhanced threat detection, investigation, and response capabilities across various platforms and services. It integrates multiple security products into a unified system, offering a better visibility and control over potential threats. And you can use attack simulation training in Microsoft Defender portal to run realistic attack scenarios. And these simulated attacks can help you identify vulnerable users before a real attack occurs. Question number 84. You have subscriptions to Microsoft 365 E5 and Azure, which include Microsoft Defender for Cloud and Microsoft Sentinel. You are tasked with designing a security operations solution to ensure that all logs collected by Defender for Cloud are ingested and utilized by Microsoft Sentinel. What are two best practices you should follow when creating the log analytics workspace for Microsoft Sentinel? Each correct answers present a complete solution. Read through these options, pause the video when you do that, and see if you can come up with the right answer. The correct answers are: use the same workspace for both Microsoft Sentinel and Defender for Cloud, and use a dedicated workspace cluster for Microsoft Sentinel if your projected data ingestion is more than 1 TB per day. So when naming your workspace, consider using complex naming convention to identify your workspaces. Let's look at question number 85. You are tasked with managing an on-premises Active Directory domain services environment and have an Azure subscription. As part of your role, you need to synchronize directories and integrate on-premises group with Microsoft Entra only group for Azure resource access. Consider the best practices in Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure. How should you proceed to manage the on-premises group effectively? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is use ADDS to manage the on-premises groups. To understand more about the best practices of Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework, please refer to question number 49 where I explained about it. So here, groups that are synchronized from on-premises can only be managed and updated from the identity source of truth, which is the on-premises Active Directory. Provisioning an ADDS domain controller to Azure Virtual Machine or provisioning Entra domain services will not meet this goal. So you can use ADDS to manage the on-premises group. Question number 86. Imagine you are setting up a conditional access solution for Microsoft Entra hybrid tenant named Contesto.com, which uses Entra Connect to synchronize with on-premises Active Directory domain services. Domain.contesto.com has different accounts, including admin 1, which is assigned the global administrator RBAC role, user 1, which is an emergency access account, user 2 is an assigned the global reader access, and sync 1, which is the Microsoft Entra Connect sync account. Given that certain accounts need to be excluded from conditional access policies for security reason, which account should you exclude? So which is the account you should be excluding from the sync? The correct answer is user 1 and sync 1 only. The conditional access policies are so powerful tools. However, Microsoft recommends excluding emergency access or break glass accounts and service accounts from deployment plans. What are the benefits of excluding these accounts? This ensures that availability during emergencies, minimizing downtime, maintains automated services and workflows without interruption, and provides reliable access for administrators during crisis. Let's look at question number 87. Your company has recently acquired a new Azure subscription and aims to establish organizational standards to mitigate business risk. You need to recommend a solution to ensure consistency, security, cost management, and governance for Azure resources. Which solution would you propose? Let's look at the available four options. What's the correct answer? The correct answer is Azure Policy. We have gone through explanation of Azure Policy multiple times. If you want detailed explanation, go and refer question number 36. Azure Policy helps enforce organizational standards and access compliance. Common use cases for Azure Policy include implementing governance for resource consistency, regulatory compliance, security, cost, and management. Question number 88. You are managing a hybrid and multi-cloud environment that includes Windows Server hosted on premises alongside virtual machines in both Azure and AWS. As part of your design for incorporating Microsoft Defender for servers, you need to outline a method for integrating these servers with Microsoft Defender for cloud. What steps should you include in your plan? Let's look at these options available. The correct answer is Azure Arc. We looked into what is Azure Arc in detail on question 51. You can refer that for additional detail. Azure Arc helps you onboard AWS, Google Cloud Platform or GCP and on-premises machine to Azure. And Defender for Cloud uses Azure Arc to protect non-Azure machines. To use Defender services, all AWS, GCP, and on-premises machines must be Azure Arc enabled. Question number 89. Your company has a multitude of connected operation technology, devices, and active Azure subscription. You are planning to integrate these OT devices by implementing agentless device monitoring and using the Azure portal to access data from all connected sensors. Given the need to incorporate the OT devices into Azure processes, what solution would you recommend to ensure effective integration and monitoring? Let's look into the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for IoT. To fully monitor a network, you need visibility of all endpoint devices on the network. Defender for IoT mirrors the traffic that moves through your network devices to Defender for IoT network sensors. Microsoft Defender for IoT is a security solution designed to protect Internet of Things and operational technology devices on your network. It works by monitoring the traffic that flows through your network devices using network sensors, ensuring that all endpoint devices are visible and secure. Question number 90. You are tasked with designing a security solution based on Microsoft Cloud Security Standards. As part of your project, you need to ensure that virtual machines running Windows are properly configured with trusted launch settings. How would you verify and attest remotely that these virtual machines are booted securely in alignment with trusted launch requirements? Let's look into the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. You can refer to question number 13 for further details. There I explained about what is Microsoft Defender for Cloud in detail. Trusted Launch is integrated with Defender for Cloud to ensure that virtual machines are properly configured by remotely attesting that the virtual machine is booted in a healthy way. 91. You are recently acquired an Azure subscription and are planning to deploy 25 virtual machines. To ensure maximum security, you need to provide guidance on how to configure these virtual machines in accordance with the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. The guidance should include recommendations on identity, management, network security, and privileged access controls. What aspects should be included in your guidance? Let's look at the options available and see if you can find the correct answer. The correct answer is Azure Security Baseline. I have explained what is Azure Security Baseline in detail on question number 55. You can go through that for detailed explanation. Azure Security Baselines provide guidance for MCSB version 1.0 to virtual machines. The MCSB provides recommendations on how to secure your cloud solution in Azure. The content is grounded by the security controls defined by the MCSB and the related guidance applicable to virtual machines. Let's look at question number 92. You are tasked with developing an IoT solution for an Azure environment. Your design must include features such as passwordless or multi-factor authentication and a process for identifying and addressing device vulnerabilities. Which two guiding principles of the Microsoft Azure well-architected framework security architecture for IoT does the design address? Look at the options available. The correct answers are strong identity and device health. So, how does strong identity help? Strong identity focuses on verifying the identity of devices and users using methods like passwordless authentication or multi factor authentication. This principle helps prevent unauthorized access and ensures that only trusted entities can interact with your IoT systems. For instance, an employee accessing a smart building control system might use MFA to ensure that they are authorized to make changes to the building's environment settings. How does device health help? So, device health is about ensuring that IoT and embedded devices are functioning correctly and securely. This principle involves regularly checking devices for vulnerabilities, updating software, and maintaining an ongoing risk profile. For example, a smart thermostat might be checked for firmware update to protect against potential security threats, ensuring it operates efficiently and safely. Question number 93. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are using Microsoft Purview for your data governance needs. You are required to recommend a feature within Microsoft Purview that can help organize data into logical categories. Which feature would you suggest? Let's look at the available options first. See if you can find the right answer. The correct answer is data map classification. So, what is this data map classification in Microsoft Purview? Data map classification is a method for organizing and categorizing data assets. It involves assigning unique logical tags or classes to data assets, making them easier to understand, search, and govern. By classifying data, you can manage it better by knowing what information you have, where it is located, and the level of sensitivity or risk associated with it. Question 94. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with developing a strategy for identity and access management. Your goal is to create a system that dynamically adjusts access controls based on various factors such as user risk levels, real time conditions, device health, and location. Which method should you implement in your design? These are the options available. What is the right answer? The correct answer is conditional access. We looked into conditional access in detail on question number 86. Please refer that for further details. A short answer is conditional access in Azure allows organizations to set policies that dynamically adapt access control based on user risk levels and real-time conditions, including device health and location. Question number 95. Imagine you are managing Microsoft 365 E5 subscription for your organization and utilizing Microsoft Purview. Your goal is to monitor and improve compliance with the ISO 27017 standard for information security controls. What solution would you recommend to track progress in meeting these standards and enhancing compliance? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Compliance Manager. What is Compliance Manager? Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager is a tool designed to help organizations manage their compliance with various regulations, standards, and policies. It awards points for completing improvement actions, which are then combined into an overall compliance score. This score helps prioritize actions based on their potential impact on compliance posture. Question number 96. You manage a multi subscription Azure environment and are planning a deployment for existing cloud infrastructure in line with the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework. How would you ensure secure authentication for access to cloud apps and Azure resources in this setup? Let's look at the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Entra ID conditional access. So we looked, like I said, we looked into the conditional access in detail on question number 86. You can go through that. Conditional access is part of the Azure landing zone design area for securing authentication of existing brownfield cloud environments to cloud apps and Azure resources. Let's look at question number 97. You have an Azure subscription and you want to publish a custom application for vendors and customers. Your goal is to find a security solution that supports multiple tenants and hybrid environments, offers customized sign-in experiences, and allows customers to sign up their own. What should you include in the solution? Let's look at the options. The correct answer is Microsoft Entra External ID. So what is this Microsoft Entra External ID? Microsoft Entra External ID is a solution designed to help organizations manage and secure identities for customers, partners, and other external users. It enables businesses to create customized sign-in experiences and allows users to self-register, offering a seamless and secure way to interact with public-facing applications. Question number 98. Imagine you have an Azure subscription and are tasked with designing a resiliency strategy to counter ransomware attacks. Your solution needs to incorporate Azure Backup to support your strategy. You need to suggest an Azure Backup feature that ensures multiple user authentication for critical backup and recovery operations. What feature should you recommend? Look at the options available. The right answer is Resource Guard. So, what is Resource Guard? Resource Guard is a security feature in Azure designed to provide an extra layer of protection for critical operations on recovery services vaults and backup vaults. It ensures that sensitive actions such as deleting backups or changing configurations are performed only with the appropriate authorization. This helps prevent unauthorized access and potential malicious activities. Let's look at question number 99. You are the cloud administrator of a company that is using both Microsoft 365 and Azure in its cloud deployment. You are tasked with implementing Microsoft Defender for Cloud, focusing on the following features. The features are Microsoft Secure Score, Attack Path Analysis, Multi-Cloud Coverage, Microsoft Entra Permissions Management, and Cloud Security Posture Management or CSPM. Which two features require a paid Microsoft Defender plan, and select all that apply. Let's look at the options available, and the right answers are Attack Path Analysis and Microsoft Entra Permission Management. So we've gone through the details of this in question number 13, where you can learn about what is Microsoft Defender for Cloud and what are the options and benefits it offers and things like that. Let's look at question number 100. Your organization utilizes both Microsoft 365 and Azure in its cloud infrastructure and you have been tasked with recommending a compliant solution that satisfies the following criteria. The criteria are: delivers an overall compliance score based on completed recommended actions, oversees information protection including sensitivity labels and data loss prevention. Which solution would you propose? Let's look into the options available. The correct answer is Microsoft Purview. We looked into Microsoft Purview in detail on question number 11. Microsoft Purview is a data classification solution that helps organizations manage and oversee their data assets. So I hope the information provided in this video helps you clear the exam or study security in general. I will see you on the next one. Take care.